Hello and welcome again to another episode of the Cliff Notes podcast, where we ask a leader and find a way. This time we're taking a slightly different tack. I've got a whole group of ladies who were off to Malawi on a women's expedition to help build a new classroom at the classroom block at Rainbow Hope School in Malawi, and help bring some sort of STEM and learning opportunities to people in this area. And my first interview today is with Gemma. Hello, Gemma.
Hello, good morning, Tristan. How are you?
I'm good, thanks. Yourself?
Yes, very well, thank you.
And so it sounds a really exciting project. And I had Katy on last year, and she was just getting started with this sort of preparation. How have you come to this project?
Yeah, so I actually was lucky enough to visit Malawi last year with Katy, and we worked on a variety of things out there, from working with women in business, and also this element at Rainbow Hope Secondary School where we did skills workshops, STEM workshops, and also some careers workshops. And it was just a really kind of fascinating project that we had out there, very inspiring, and we all took a lot from it. So yes, that's sort of how I've come to the STEM Build Malawi project as it is now.
Mm-hmm. And so the focus is the young women there. Is it just all around that sort of that age group? Is it, or is it a little bit broader?
So the project itself, we've kind of gone down the route of with support of two engineering firms, Jacobs and WSP. We've got the funding, some funding to cover the build cost of the science classroom, but the focus is a little bit wider than that, and we'll be running workshops with the young people. We'll also be running workshops with there's teachers, and there's some youth workers that work out there as well, and hoping to have an impact on the wider community as well, because it is a project that will hopefully be able to contribute to the wider community in the Mangochi district.
Mm-hmm. So the idea is building on this and leaving a bit of a legacy, or for the local people to be able to build on it and take their own experiences further.
Yes, absolutely. I think a hugely important part of this, and what we've come to understand throughout the process of the project, is that actually the involvement from the local community in both the build of the project is actually a really important part, because it helps them to own, what we're kind of coming in to support. It helps them to own it and have that kind of ongoing legacy going forward.
Mm-hmm. And is the project is you're coming in to help their school? It's not some sort of program that's on the ground that you're already working with. It's you helping them and working with them, rather than them coming to you and taking something.
Yes, absolutely. So we connected with Rainbow Hope Secondary School last year, and they're supported by CESA, which is a charity out on the ground in Malawi. And we've reconnected via Orbis Expeditions, who ran our project last year, and with CESA, in order to kind of implement this project. We knew there was a need for a classroom, another classroom, because there's still a group of students that are being taught under a tree. And so it just sort of made sense to kind of actually give that classroom a bit more of a title. And so, inciting it into a science classroom, and actually being able to put the science facilities and IT facilities into that classroom, just have the opportunity to really kind of drive aspirations of these young people that will come through the school.
So do they have a program but not the sort of facilities at the moment?
Yeah, so they do work off a curriculum, and they will use as much as they've got at this moment in time. But in terms of science equipment and access to IT equipment, it's fairly minimal at the moment. And so that is where a lot of our fundraising has actually come into, particularly this final part, has been about fundraising to gather these the science and IT equipment for to put into the classroom and actually make it the science classroom that we sort of intended it to be.
That's great. So it should open up some good opportunities, at least for some of these younger people to be able to get access to trying and learning this with these sort of facilities at a much younger age than they might have done in the sort of current situation.
Oh, certainly. And I think, a really important thing that we're sort of aware of is through the Caesar charity, they have a lot of young people that come through the school on scholarships because secondary education is not free in Malawi. And so it's actually, they'll go out to the local primary schools and sort of identify young people who they really believe should be in secondary school who might not necessarily have the opportunity via their family kind of funding. And it then, it gives them the chance to actually identify, bright young people that really have a potential. And ongoing from secondary school, there is the opportunity for, scholarships in STEM subjects in universities in Malawi. So we really kind of hope that this facility will kind of enable these young people to access that, ongoing for their future careers also.
So the background of sort of engineering and sort of civil engineering, this almost becomes building a bridge to their future careers and future opportunities.
Yes, absolutely, and that's a big that's certainly a value that the four of us as co-leaders share is opening those doors to these young people and really kind of raising their aspirations and helping them to actually see and believe that they can achieve in those types of careers and those types of industries, and particularly obviously from we're working in a mixed school, and it's this isn't just targeting young women, but the element of having an all-female team is to really raise the aspirations of young women, because there is still a sort of gender gap in Malawi where women traditionally, or young girls traditionally, will be encouraged to start a family as opposed to kind of continuing an education. So this hopefully with a women's group going out there and these young girls seeing women being in engineering roles, it will kind of open doors to them and open their eyes to the fact that they can actually do these types of careers.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, that sounds super inspiring. And I think that's been a really good sort of introduction to where things are going. What's brought you to this project? I mean, what's your background that you're bringing to?
So I personally, I did a degree in marketing, and then I've always been sort of loved working with young people, and so I spent a period of time supporting young people into apprenticeships. And following that, worked in various business development roles. And I've been lucky enough to travel quite widely with work. I went to Bulgaria and supported their careers education system out there on a European project. And sort of since I travelled in Australia in 2016, and since coming back, took the sort of jump to go self-employed and now work in kind of marketing and business development, supporting other companies. But supporting young people and raising their aspirations has always been something that I've sort of held very close to my heart. And so I currently still in the UK work mentoring people at my local university in Plymouth, and I also work on a contract sort of supporting young people with employability skills. So when when Katy and Kelly kind of came and said, right, we want to do this build project, but actually it's about also giving back to these young people, it really kind of inspired me. And I think the day we spent in Rainbow Hope School last year, it was just so inspiring. And these young people, the smiles on their faces was just amazing, and they just absolutely just adored us being there. And it was just such a kind of warm feeling inside to be able to take home and sort of say we've actually really kind of had an impact on these young people, and hopefully they will kind of hold that for the rest of their futures.
Mm-hmm. It'd be interesting to be able to follow on into your next trip, and then in the future if they're able to sort of give you updates or tell you when they graduate where they choose to go on to.
Yes, certainly.
Yeah, no, that's great. Cool. And what sort of excited you about this challenge that's motivated you to get in on board?
What really excites me, and I've already mentioned that I've had the opportunity to work abroad, and I spent a period of time working in Italy with Italian entrepreneurs, and I really, for me, I find it fascinating working in a different culture, in a different environment, and I think it really inspires me and my business. But I love I really thrive on the opportunity to be able to skill share and give back. So, there's one side of it which is actually obviously being able to meet this global team of engineers and understand their discipline a bit more, which is very different from me and marketing and business development. But also, as I've already kind of said, the opportunity to return to Rainbow Hope School and contribute to this project that will have an ongoing sustainable impact. It's just really, really excites me.
Has there been any sort of learnings or discoveries that you haven't been expecting along the way so far? Any challenges that you've been facing in getting out there?
I mean, funding's always a very interesting one, and I think when we initially kind of set out this project, we were told it would be about £10,000, which is very cheap to fund the cost of the build. And we had two companies, respective companies, WSP and Jacobs, that were willing to contribute 5,000 each. And that build cost has stretched, we're now at £17,500 just to cover the build cost, and that's not been including science equipment. And that's had a real kind of it's been quite a strain, but it's been an interesting learning curve for us, and it's been something where there's been times where we've had to look at perhaps compromising. We set out to have an eco build. There was a period of time where the eco blocks that we were looking to use were perhaps going to be significantly more expensive than the traditional burnt brick blocks. And it was looking at that decision and going, is this about an eco build, or is it about a science classroom? And I think one thing we all came to the decision of was that it's about what we put inside that classroom that inspires these young people and helps them into careers in the future, and not necessarily about what the walls are made of. However, we've been lucky and fortunate enough to manage to balance that budget out, and we're now able to do an eco build as well as obviously putting the science equipment into the classroom. And of course, with that has been encouraging our team to fundraise in various different ways. There's been all sorts, from cake sales to quizzes to I think the guys in Australia have done a sausage sizzle and ugly shirt day. So there's been some really kind of fun fundraising events, and actually that's really helped to kind of grow the reach of our project. And we've had a lot of kind of interaction from external parties in the project because of those types of events that our team are getting involved in.
Mm-hmm. No, that makes sense. I mentioned to Katie I was going to give a donation for each one of the team members who wanted to come on the show to help put that forward too. But have you been yourself then involved in set yourself a challenge, or you've split up the target and you need to help contribute to a certain amount?
Was much harder because they continued to drink into the night and so ask for questions to be repeated quite often. But so yeah, I've done that, and I've also hosted I had a Malawian dinner party at my house, which was great fun, and just a nice opportunity to kind of share a bit of the experience with them. That was my dad's work, his work colleagues in his office. So yeah, we've all individually made an effort, and we are very aware that some of our team have had to personally fundraise for their place. So but jointly we have we've all contributed in some way, and as much as we can, and obviously respecting people's work lives and personal life balance. Some of our team have children, so it's really kind of appreciating that everybody's got as time, but we're all kind of towards that sort of shared vision, and supporting each other to fundraise. So yeah.
One imagines that when you're doing expeditions that are a long walk, a climb, a big activity, there's sort of fitness training and different things to do that sometimes it sort of focuses the mind, but also helps build the team together. Do you think some of this, the charity work and the fundraising, has pulled the team together as sort of a shared goals as well in this time?
Oh, certainly. And I think, because obviously we don't know many of our team aside from communicating via WhatsApp and Facebook. We are a global team, so not everybody's met each other. And so doing shared activities like contributing to our joint fundraising pot, and there's lots of sharing of photos and how much money people have raised at certain things within their offices, and that's been a really kind of important part of it. And everybody's been very, very supportive, in sharing ideas or sharing their quiz questions or whatever it might be. It certainly has brought the team together in that kind of shared vision as to what we are trying to sort of achieve from the project.
Yeah. So if people wanted to be able to get in there and help contribute or find ways that you're doing activities that they can donate to, where's a good place to come to?
Yeah, absolutely. So we have a GoFundMe page. We actually have two fundraising pages, one for the UK and one for the Australian side of the team. And I'm sure I can share the links with you following this, Tristan. We also have a good social media following on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram, and that's at STEM Build Malawi. And, simply following those and kind of supporting our journey and kind of sharing what we're up to is actually a really, really valuable part of this project, because beyond the project, who knows what might happen next, but we are in talks about how we can kind of keep the momentum up on perhaps supporting the school longer term than just the end of this project. And it's about creating that sustainable impact.
Cool. So as much awareness and people following and keeping up with what you're doing is as beneficial as well as helping towards the goal.
Certainly.
Cool. And just to sort of round out where we're going with this, I mean, what's you're all trying to get there and help shape the future, or give a new opportunities to the future of these young people. Where are you hoping that this is going, maybe in the next few years for them?
Well, for these young people in particular, as I've already kind of expressed, is secondary education isn't free. Neither is university, but we hope that this facility and the access to the equipment and the IT would just open doors. Access to the internet and IT in itself is going to be able, it inspires the mind. They have access to content that they wouldn't have at the moment, and it just really is an opportunity to raise their aspirations, not only perhaps towards STEM careers, but perhaps towards other careers, and also perhaps have that ripple effect on Malawi in general, which, as we know, is it's one of the poorest countries in the world, and educating these young people to support their country is a really, really kind of important place to start.
Yeah, I mean, if it can take some of these people forward and their careers can be more valuable to them, and therefore they can give back to their family, there's that sort of that wider ripple that pulls the whole community forward. So yeah. No, that's great. Is there anything else you'd like us to know about the trip, or you wanted to share? Otherwise, it's been great having you on the show.
No, I think I've sort of expressed everything that I wanted to, and I really kind of appreciate you allowing me the time to speak with you, Tristan.
No, that's great. So we'll see if we can get this turned around and with the other guests together on this bigger show, and get that out before you're all away, and then follow along and see what happens for your trip when you're all back again.
Brilliant.
Cool. Thank you very much.
No worries, Tristan. Cheers.
My second guest on. And how are you doing today?
I'm great, thank you. How are you?
I'm good, thanks. So we're getting into learning about your the group of women who are off out to Malawi to help the Rainbow Hope Secondary School build a new classroom and give them some sort of training and some ideas around this from all of your experience. Um, so what sort of brought you to this project?
So I saw it on our internal internet at first. Katie, one of the leaders, she was advertising it, and I just thought it sounded like an amazing experience, something that I have never done before. So I listened to the Skype call that they had, and I just put my name forward, not knowing whether I'll get it or not, but I did. So I'm super excited about it.
Cool. And what's your background and what's your skill set that you're bringing to the project?
So I am an apprentice doing civil engineering, doing my degree in civil engineering. I work in highways and I'm not long out of school. So to be honest, I kind of know what to expect from a classroom. So I've been helping a little bit with the internal design to try and make the classroom as friendly as possible and to inspire learning, because there's nothing worse being sat in an awful playing classroom. So I've just been trying to do that. I don't have much structural knowledge with being in highways, so I haven't really been able to help with the design that much, but I'm excited to go on to site and actually learn about the construction process. I feel like I'm going to learn a lot from this.
So were you familiar with anyone who else is going on the project already, or it's sort of everything's been new and a new experience and getting to know people?
Everything's new. I don't know any of the girls. I met one of the girls who worked in Newcastle. She's now moved to Edinburgh, but before she moved, we met up and had coffee, so that was really nice, and she was lovely. So it made me even more excited. Yeah, so I did a Christmas raffle, which went amazingly. I think I managed to get about £450, which well exceeded what I expected to do. I just asked around for donations. My parents helped me out a lot, to be honest. My mum donated some GHDs, which was incredible, and that was an amazing prize. Some people give me some bottles of alcohol, which everyone loves some alcohol apparently. And I just sold tickets around the office. My mum sold tickets at her work. My dad sold tickets at his work. I asked all of my family to buy tickets. And yeah, I raised an incredible amount of money, which I was extremely proud of.
And so what's the next step for you? Have you been preparing and getting yourself ready for this trip too?
Yeah, so I've been doing a bit of shopping. I've been bought a new big bag because we've got to take all of our safety clothing, over there. So I've had to get myself a new bag to fit all of that in, and just general preparations, to be honest. Like I said, with the internal design, I've been going on calls with that. We've been having regular Skype calls about what sort of things we might need to do. I've got my vaccinations today from Malawi, which is slightly terrifying. Just general bits and bobs here and there.
Yeah. And what do you imagine, or have you got plans of what you'll be actually doing when you're on site, when you're on the ground there?
Yeah, so I'm not entirely sure how it is going to properly work with the construction, because we are planning on the construction having started before we get out there, so that it can be finished while we're there and we can design the inside. But we are also going to be doing STEM workshops, so I'm hoping to get involved in a couple of them and do some activities with the students and help them learn about engineering and different aspects of STEM.
And have you done some teaching or some work with sort of younger people coming through before?
Yes, I went back to my middle school. We still have the middle school system up here. And I did a wind turbine building little competition with a few classes from there, and it went amazingly. They just had to design the actual turbines for it, and we got a hairdryer and tested who's span the quickest. Some of them didn't work, obviously, but it was just good fun, and they all got so involved. It was lovely to see them enjoying themselves doing STEM.
And working with the day release with the company you're at now, and have they been supportive, or do they have sort of similar sort of mentoring programs through there too?
Yeah, so the company I'm working with now, they're very supportive of all things STEM, to be honest. They give us volunteering days, so I use my volunteering days to go and do things like the school thing I just mentioned. And, we did a girls in STEM one where lots of young girls from different schools around the area came, and we put on a little tower building competition for them to get involved with, and whoever had the highest tower won a virtual reality headset that we bought. So they are really supportive of everything, and they're very supportive of me going and doing this expedition as well.
Mm-hmm. That's great. And I mean, how long's the trip when you're out there?
So we're out there for 2 weeks. The exact program hasn't been quite nailed down yet because they're still working out how it's going to work with the construction and when that's going to finish, and they need to work out exactly when certain people will be doing workshops, when certain people will be doing the construction. So I don't think it's been finalised yet. It's meant to be finalised, I think, sometime within the next few weeks, obviously, because it's getting very close to going. Um, but yeah, we're out there for 2 weeks in total.
But they'll be having you stacking some bricks and doing some hands-on work as well as helping with the teaching, you think?
Yeah, I imagine so. I think that's the plan. We're taking all of our safety PPE out there so we can get involved and help out. And then I do think half of it will probably be the internal design because of having to have it nearly finished for us getting there so that we can do that design. It's going to have to be, the build will have to be a fair bit on when we arrive. But I'm hoping to get involved as much as possible.
Is that some sort of some of the skills there that you're familiar with already that you're studying, or is it a little bit of a different discipline?
And product design at A levels. So I have a little bit hands-on knowledge from doing there and doing designs and actually having to make it in them, but I've never done anything like an actual construction of a building. So it's a completely new area for me.
So what are you hoping that that you're going to get out of the trip from moving forward with that?
I'm really looking forward to finding out about their local culture and how they do things out there. I think it's a great experience to see how different it is to the UK, and I think that will only widen my horizons. So I'm really excited for that. And also, I think just getting some site knowledge. I haven't been on site yet, so having some site knowledge and seeing how the whole thing's coming together, I think that's going to be an amazing opportunity for myself. And I'm also just really looking forward to chatting with all the kids and having a little bit of fun.
And I guess the end goal is the legacy and then these young people learning and moving forward. So do you think you've got some sort of aspirations, or you can imagine what their next 5-10 years might be like as the legacy that you'd all like to leave?
Yeah, I mean, I'm really hoping that by providing this classroom, it will really encourage them to continue on with their education. A lot of the Malawi children don't end up going very far in their education, which is such a disappointment. So it'd be amazing for this to inspire them to want to be an engineer or something else related to STEM, an architect, and for them to want to continue on and keep going to that higher level.
project. So I wish you all the best, and I look forward to following on. And I hear maybe there's even a documentary in the works, so that we'll be able to see what the trip's been like afterwards.
Yeah, there is a documentary. Slightly nervous about that. It should be great, but I'm going to be a sweaty mess while I'm doing the construction, I imagine. But no, that it's amazing that we can document it. It'll be something that we can look back on and say, oh, this is what we did. We can show other people, inspire others to go out and do something similar. I think it's a good thing that the documentary is happening.
Well, thank you very much for joining us today, and I look forward to catching up with you when you return.
Brilliant. Thank you for talking to me.
Thanks for joining us today on the Cliff Notes podcast. If you'd like to follow up with me or the guest after the show notes will be online at cliffnotespodcast.com, or you can contact us directly on Twitter at cliffnotespod. Thank you.